Okay, so good morning, class. We quickly take up the new chapter in history, and I had sent you one explanation. Did you go through it? Did you go
Yes,
through
ma'am.
the those
Yes.
those
Yes,
who
ma'am.
did not? Okay, those who did not, I will quickly explain spread of new ideas. This is the new chapter where we talk of that in the 6th century BC, various new religions were cropping up. There were philosophers and preachers who were coming up, and nearly 62 religions came into being in and around the Gangetic Plains. Now, among those many, there were two prominent leaders, one Gautam Buddha and the other was Mahavira. Now, Buddhism was the new religion. Out of so many, out of 62 new religions, Buddhism and Jainism were the two new religions which gained popularity. Now they talked of Buddhism, and yesterday in explanation 1, I covered Buddhism. I will quickly tell you that Buddhism was initiated or was founded by Gautam Buddha in the 6th century BC. And because of Gautam Buddha, the religion came to be known as Buddhism. And it spread in various parts in India as well as in outside India also, in Central Asia, Sri Lanka, Tibet, etc. Then in Eastern Asia, Asian countries also like China, Korea, and Japan. Now they then talked of Gautam Buddha's life. They told that his real name was Siddhartha and his father's name was Sudodhana, who belonged to Shakya clan. He was a Rajput, he was Kshatriya by birth, and his father was the chief of the Shakya clan. Then, at the time of his birth, his mother Mahamaya she died, giving birth to Buddha, and so Siddhartha was brought up by his uh, mother's sister, whose name was Mahaprajapati. Now, at the age of 16, he got married to Yashodhara and had a son called Rahul. Then, once when he was small, one ascetic had told that either he'll become a great king or he'll become a great saint. Now, his father, being a chief of the Shakya clan, so he decided that he will keep him away from worldly suffering. He will keep him in his kingdom so that he doesn't know about the uh, uh, creatures and the saints. He kept him away from these saints and all. So one day, what happened was Siddhartha was roaming around his palace on a chariot with his charioteer Channa. That means the one who drives the chariot. So now, when he was roaming around, he saw three sights which were very unusual. He had earlier never seen an old man, he had earlier never seen a sick person, and at the same time, the third sight was of a dead man. He had never seen a dead body. Now, seeing all this, he was very disturbed, and then it was at the age of 29 that he decided to leave the worldly pleasures and he left the kingdom and became an ascetic. Ascetic is sannyasi. Okay, and he became a monk. Now for years he traveled here and there, then he started meditating, then finally he reached a place called Gaya. It is in Bihar, uh, near Patna. So he reached there and he sat under a peepal tree. Now and he meditated for days to come. And then finally he got enlightenment. That means he got knowledge. And then ever since then he was known as Buddha, and Buddha means the enlightened one, the one who has the wisdom. So the tree where he sat, the peepal tree where he sat, came to be known as Mahabodhi tree. Even today it is there. Okay, and from there he started preaching Bodh Gaya. That means Gaya is now known as Bodh Gaya, is known as Bodh Gaya, and it is it is there that he got enlightenment. Okay, then he preached. He gave his first sermons at Sarnath. Then we came to know about the teachings of Buddha. His teachings can be compiled into two groups: the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Now, the teachings said, the first one said that the world is full of suffering. Now, this means that the world, ever since you are born, has some or the other problem in a person's life till the person is living. The second is the cause of suffering is desire. Now, they say that any suffering, हमारी लाइफ में परेशानियां क्यों हैं? क्योंकि हमारे अंदर इच्छा है. Because of the desires, we are suffering. Now, number three, to end suffering, one must get rid of desire. Now, if you want to get the suffering end, you should put an end to desire. अगर अपने अंदर की तकलीफ को दूर करना है, तो अपनी इच्छाओं को रोकना है. Then the fourth way was to end desire, one must follow eightfold path. He said that anyone who needs to put an end to his desire must follow the eight correct paths which are laid by him. And those eightfold paths were right belief. That means आपकी जो सोच है, जो आप जिस पे बिलीव करते हैं, वो सही होनी चाहिए. Right thought, that means you should have positive thoughts. Right speech, that means you should speak the soft and polite words. Right action, whatever you do should be for human wellness, for mankind. Then right livelihood, that means your ways for attaining income for the family should be righteous. Right effort, you should put on right efforts to achieve any goal. Then right memory. Right memory means you should have only good memories which are positive. Please switch off your mic, which are positive. Then right meditation. It is only through right thinking, right meditation towards God that you can follow these ways of attaining ending suffering. Yeah. Now he said that following the eightfold path would purify the mind and help attain nirvana. That means if you are following the eightfold path, you reach nirvana. That means you reach moksha, you reach salvation or freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Okay. Then he also talked that Buddha stressed on ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence, which even Gandhiji later on taught. Now, he said that you should be kind to animals in your speech and action. You should be practicing purity of thought, speech, and action. You should have love and compassion for other human beings. Your deeds and actions should be nice and comforting for others. Now we come on to the next heading called religious texts. I hope you are sitting with your book. Many of you who are visible to me on the screen, they are continuously looking at the screen only. So please look in your books. That will be solving your purpose. Okay? A religious text. Oh shit. Can you all see this? Can you all see this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. I'm doing it for those who are looking at the screen. So at least let me give them the picture to see. So now religious text.
No, ma'am.
Then please sit with your own book. The teachings of Buddha are collected in the three Pitakas. Three Pitakas. Please underline three Pitakas. That means the three baskets. Whatever Buddha has taught are preserved nicely in Tripitakas, a book called Tripitakas, which means three baskets. They are written in Pali, now the language. Like today we talk in Hindi or in English. At that time, the language which was prevalent was Pali. Now, besides please. There are the Jataka tales relating to Buddha's birth and his previous life. Underline Jataka tales. Now, even there are Jataka tales which are telling about Buddha's earlier lives and his birth, before his birth. Buddhism was accepted by a large section of people. The universities of Nalanda, Takshila, and Vikramshila became centers of Buddhist learning. So now these universities, please underline the universities. Can you imagine there were universities at that time? Universities basically are for higher education. After class 12, you have universities. So imagine in those times also they had three prominent universities underlying Nalanda, Takshila, and Vikramshila. They were the centers where Buddhist learning was given and Buddhist learning was practiced. Now, coming to the next one. Did you know ahimsa means not causing harm to anyone? Please underline this. Then moksha means freedom from cycle of birth and rebirth, and nirvana means salvation. Both of them mean the same thing. So that means moksha, nirvana, salvation, cycle of birth and rebirth, freedom from it, all mean the same thing. Then we come to the next heading, spread of Buddhism. During the reign of Kanishka, Buddhism was divided into two sects. Now, when King Kanishka was ruling at that time, Buddhism bifurcated. Bifurcated means it got broken up into two parts. One was the Hinayana or the lesser vehicle, and the other was the Mahayana or the greater vehicle. Now, what are these? Let's see. Those who belonged to Hinayana sect followed Buddha's teachings only. Those who belonged to Mahayana sect believed that Buddha is an incarnation of God. They started worshipping him in the form of idols and bodhisattvas. So now, the Hinayanas, they considered him as a teacher, as a preacher, and they followed every word that he taught. Whereas the Mahayanas, they started considering him as a god, and they even started making idols of his bodhisattvas and bodhisattva means the posture in which he sat, and even started worshipping him as God. Buddhism spread far and wide because its teachings were very simple. Now, because of its simple teachings, it has spread to far off places. It was taught in Prakrit, that means the language of the common people. I told you Buddhism was taught in Pali and Prakrit. Okay, why? These are the just the same kind of languages with a little difference. So basically, it was taught in Pali and Prakrit. Those were the languages which were commonly known to the people in those times. Now, two great emperors, Ashoka and Kanishka, were patrons of Buddhism. That means they favored Buddhism, they followed Buddhism, and also became patrons. That means they highlighted this religion to the top most during their during their reign, during the time when they ruled India. I hope I'm clear till here. Now, next we move on to Jainism. Jainism was founded by Rishabhadeva. The Jains count Mahavira as the last of 24 preachers or teachers of or Tirthankaras. Now listen to this part very carefully. Jainism was founded by Rishabdeva, not Mahavira. But at that time, when Rishabdeva was there, he did not give the term as Jainism. Though he started teaching, he was the first founder. Clear? But the name Jainism came after Mahavira. And Rishabdev was the first Tirthankara, that means the teacher. The Jain teachers were called Tirthankaras. Okay? Rishabdeva was the first teacher. And Mahavira was 24th teacher. That means there were many teachers in between. They kept teaching the principles of Jainism. But it was under Mahavira that Jainism gained popularity. Okay, so Mahavira was the 24th preacher or the teacher or the Tirthankara. So the first Tirthankara was Rishabdeva. He was also known as Adinath. Please underline Adinath. He was known as Adinath. Clear till here? Then we come on to early years of Mahavira. Vardhama, children, we'll stop here. We'll take this up in the next class. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
We
Okay, ma'am.
stop. We stop here for